In the last 7 years, I've personally made more than $10 million with cold email. I have sent hundreds of thousands of cold emails, and in this video, I'm going to reveal everything to you. After watching this video, you'll be able to write a cold email that not only actually gets you clients, but books you more meetings than you know what to do with. This is going to show you how to get consistent, predictable, and reliable appointment setting for your business. Now, if you can't sit through and watch a video on YouTube without getting distracted, because your attention span is so haywire, how the hell are you going to build a business? So lock in, focus. Let's get started. So we're here inside the doc. If you're wondering, this one will be available in the link card in the top right-hand corner of the screen towards the end or later on in the video. So this will be available to you. And this is how to write cold emails that get clients. So if you don't understand these 16 principles that I'm going to run you through, you're essentially dead in the water. And if you've never heard of these principles or these ideas before, it's because no one else is teaching them. Everyone teaches cold email and they're just like, oh, use instantly and then put quick question in the subject line. It's a lot deeper than that. And I've personally booked over 10,000 cold email appointments using these. I've sent hundreds of thousands of cold emails personally myself. And if we amass all of the emails that my clients have sent, it's going to be in the millions, all right? Now, if you can't sit through a long video that condenses 8 years of cold email experience and mastery into an hour or two, then I've got some options for you. So if you're going to struggle to watch the entire video, I've got a couple of things you can do instead if you want to, because obviously it's quite a long one, it's quite painful to go through. If you visit here, you can sign up to drive for Uber. If you go here, you can look into McDonald's careers. Or here is a blog that will teach you how to start a 9 to 5. So if you haven't got the attention span to sit through a 1 or 2 hour video on how to write cold emails that get clients, you can go and do one of those things because it's significantly easier, and by all means crack on with that. So here's what I'm going to cover. So I've got 16 principles. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 16 different ideas that you can use and implement immediately today and take action on right now to improve your cold email writing game and get more clients. Let's get started. The first one is called relative adaptation. Then we have the click-word response algorithm, the productivity principle, feature circumvention, ego equals Waterloo, buzzword omission, a friend, HU plus CR equals AP, TA plus RR equals AP, IN plus CU equals AP, addition from subtraction, the footer paradox, single path, open to, question mark, aftercare, and Pareto's outcome principle. These might seem like some weird names to you, and you probably have never heard of this stuff before. It's new information, no one else is teaching it. Let's get started. Relative adaptation. This is the single most important thing you need to understand to write winning cold emails. Relative adaptation basically means understanding your prospect and molding your cold emails to them accordingly. This is the rule. Never write what you want to write. Write what they want to read. This is the single most important lesson when writing cold emails. Never ever sit there on your keyboard and tap out some words because you think they sound good. Every single word, every single sentence, every single syllable should be filtered through the lens and the paradigm of, is this what the prospect wants to see? Is this what they need to see to take action? Not, is it what I want to write or what I think sounds good? Because I can tell you that what you think sounds good and what you think is the right thing to write is probably completely parallel and opposite to what they think is right and what they want to read. And the reason behind that is because if you're not your market, you don't really know what to write. And so this is why the first and most important thing to writing good cold emails is relative adaptation, which means adapting your emails relatively to your understanding of the market. Base every cold email writing decision on your prospects and the market and what they want and need, not what you want and need. So this is a very important lesson in business that I had to learn very early on, is you have to adapt your business to the market, because God knows and Lord knows and nature knows that the market will not adapt to your business. If you look at nature and we observe an organism in a niche, the organism has to adapt to the niche. The niche will not adapt to the organism. And so trying to write cold emails based on what you think is good and what you want to write is like being a frog in the rainforest and hopping around from niche to niche trying to find one that perfectly suits you. Doesn't work like that. The organism has to fit the niche. So relative adaptation means to adapt your body copy, subject line, and CTA to your prospect. Think of it like nature. If nature can produce the human race over 6 million years, which is the most adapted species ever, right? We are by far, except from like cockroaches because they seem to live anywhere as well. But if it can do that, then we can use its natural selection playbook to produce a half-decent cold email. Your cold email is an organism. Your niche or your market is the environment. For the organism to survive, it must be well adapted to the environment. and the environment is ever changing, and your cold email must change accordingly. If you've seen this before, where there's copy that used to work and it no longer works, and you might be like, well, why? Like, because this worked like a year ago. Well, change, my friend. The environment changes, the market changes, and you need to use your understanding of relative adaptation and what you know about the market to shift and mold your cold emails with it. Because if you don't, you get left behind. And I see this with agency owners who have systems that work, 1 month, and then, 5 months, 6 months, a year later, they stop working. And then the agency owner has no idea why, but it's because the market moved on and changed. The niche changed, and if you didn't adapt with it, you're screwed. It is not the strongest nor the fittest that survive, but those most adapted to the environment in which they find themselves in, and that's Charles Darwin summarized pretty well. But how do we achieve relative adaptation? So you might be thinking like, okay, Charlie, well, this is all good and well, but like, how do I actually understand my market and adapt to them? So we adapt our prospects. To adapt to them, we have to understand them. And first of all, I've got a couple of things for you here. So this Google Doc here, if you want these Google Docs, remember, there will be a card on the top right-hand screen towards the end of the video that will give it to you. You have to I put it in there. I'll key in my video editor is going to put it in there randomly. So you have to watch the thing because you need to watch the thing if you haven't got clients, right? But you can go to this client avatar worksheet, this relative adaptation worksheet, and then I've also got an example here. So this client avatar worksheet, basically you want to spend a lot of time understanding your client avatar, right? And you want to use this, and you need to be able to answer all of these questions. You need to be able to write a day in your markets or your prospects diary better than they can themselves. And so we've got this relative adaptation worksheet here. Basically, these are a series of questions that you need to be able to answer to truly understand what your market actually wants to buy, what the goal is, what outcome they want, what pain they currently experience, and where they want to be. And then this avatar worksheet will help you just understand them as a person. Now, an example, so you can actually see this in action, is understanding agency owners. This is me, because obviously I work with agency owners. I'm coaches and consultants as well now. And I can describe your current situation and articulate it better than you. So if you want to stop and just pause the video and just have a quick read of your current situation, you can see how this works. And this is why I can write such good cold emails and why I can sit down and write something out and know it will work, because I understand you and I can build the cold email around you, right? And this is the thing. In cold email, there's two parties. There's the sender and the receiver, and it's all about the receiver. 99% of the cold email needs to be around the receiver. Here's the mess. So look, I'm going to scroll through this. You can pause it if you want, because this is your current situation. And then this is the mess. This is like the problem that you face. You can see this on the screen. This is your desired situation. This is what you want. And then this is your goal. And then also, this is some more of your goal. And then this is some other behaviors that you execute on regularly. I could make this document like 20 pages long because I understand you very well, right? It's scary. If you're asking, well, Charlie, I don't really understand my niche. I'm new to my niche. How can I know them? Well, that's fine, because this is something that you build knowledge of over time. It's not something that, like, client understanding takes years and years to develop. And this is why, as you stick to a niche, and as you stay in one niche and you focus and you don't switch, it gets easier and easier and easier with time. I can tell you what the easiest niche is now. It's the one that you stick to for 5 years. Because the first year of your niche, you're not really going to understand them at all. But then what's going to happen is a couple of sales calls are going to slip through the cracks. You're going to start signing a couple of clients. It won't be easy. It won't be perfect. But over time, you will build a good understanding of this market. And that's how you achieve relative adaptation. Now, if you can't be bothered to do the worksheets, I have a solution for you. Like if you're like looking at them like, I don't want to do that, like I'm just going to whatever, then you can go, once again, you can go to Uber, you can go to McDonald's here, or a 9 to 5. It's entirely up to you. You can do either of those three things if you want to. So relative adaptation is a chicken and egg scenario. The only true way to build market understanding is to take sales calls. This is the chicken and the eggs thing. It's a bit of a paradox, because a lot of people think like, okay, well, what I'm going to go and do now is research my market before I start doing any outreach. Do not do that. You don't, like, relative adaptation is the main thing with cold email, but you can still get clients without having perfectly adapted emails. You just won't, it will just be a little bit harder, probably a lot harder. The only way to really understand these people is to do sales calls. And the only true way to get sales calls is to understand the market. However, in this case, you should be able to book sales calls using the other, 15 to 16 principles or whatever. So just pay attention when you're doing your sales calls and listen back to them whenever you can to deepen your understanding of the market. And because of this, banging cold emails gets easier with time. The ease of client acquisition drastically increases the more you stick to a niche. So understand, successful cold outreach is about projecting your understanding of the market into a stimulus and flashing the stimulus in front of a prospect. That is how it works. Is you have this big ball of understanding, all of the knowledge, all of the things you understand about your market, and what you're trying to do is use that understanding to craft a few lines of text that perfectly encapsulate their current situation, desired situation, goal, problem, latent conditions, psychology, future state, past state, etc., and you whack it into this beautifully concise cold email. And then people read it and they think, oh my God, that is literally me to a T. That is scary. He knows exactly what I want, exactly what problem I suffer with, exactly what second order consequences I've been living, exactly what goals I have. He knows exactly what my past looks like, exactly what my future looks like. He knows exactly who I look up to. He knows exactly what course I've been through before. He knows exactly what YouTube videos I watch. He knows exactly what I'm going to click on. And then people are like, okay, well, this dude understands me. And people take action and like to move towards people that empathize with their current situation and understand them. So the second thing that we're going to cover is something called the click-where response algorithm. So all human beings are creatures of conditioning. And if you don't know what that means and you can't articulate it, you need to understand it. So let's get into it. So conditioning is a principle in psychology used to basically explain how human beings behave. And you've got all sorts of studies like Pavlov's dogs and stuff like that. We won't get into it, but conditioning is the word used to explain the relationship between stimulus and response. A stimulus eliciting a response from a human being denotes a behavior, okay? So when you see something and you immediately behave in a certain way, that is what we call conditioning. Now, there's lots of different types of conditioning in psychology. We've got operant conditioning, classical conditioning, and some other ones, but I'm not going to get too deep into it because you don't need to understand that. You just need to know the principles. You have to understand the human mind works like a machine. You know when you've got one of those old cassette tapes and you click the button and then the tape starts whirring? That's kind of how the human brain works. Click, whir, right? So stimulus, response, okay? Or like something you see and your reaction to that thing or your behavior. This is how the brain works. It's click, whir. It's if this, then that. It's stimulus, it's response, it's cause, it's effect. It's experience and then behavior. And if you understand how the mind works in this way, what you can do is you can draft cold emails that invoke the whir, because the whir is the response. So when exposed to a specific stimulus, a human will respond with a specific behavior. So let me give you some examples. The first example of a click, whir response would be a man with a nicotine addiction. And so if this man is exposed to a packet of cigarettes, he then has the urge to smoke and then he smokes. So the way it works is you have conditioning that is unconscious and conditioning that is conscious. Where, for example, with a smoking addiction, you have the stimulus, right, which is seeing someone smoke or having a packet of cigarettes or seeing a packet of cigarettes. And then you pretty much have an immediate unconscious response where the impulse to smoke arrives in the conscious mind from the back of the subconscious to the conscious. And then the human being gets up and moves their body without even thinking about it. There's no thought involved. There are conscious conditioning, but I'm not going to get into it because this video will end up being like 5 hours long. So you just need to understand the unconscious stuff. It's when a physical, tangible stimulus inside of an environment or digital stimulus, which is what we're writing, when a human being sees it and their body moves without them thinking. So primary example, right now I have a bottle of water on my desk, sparkling Evian water, right? And so when I get thirsty, when I feel the stimulus of thirst, my hand is going to move to this bottle of water, bring it over here, open the clasp and drink without thinking about it. So the majority, not all, most of your behaviors are conditioned, okay? And that's how it works. So let's say you have a proud father with his son. If his son scores a goal at a football match, the father cheers without thinking about it. Now, if you take a person with a strong left-wing political bias, if they see someone like tweet a right-wing thing, then they get angry. Or without even thinking about it, they get into your threads. And the same thing if you have a person with a strong right-wing bias. If they see a strong left-wing tweet, they get angry and then they start typing without even thinking about it. And degenerates, if exposed to a slightly attractive woman on Instagram, they immediately visit a specific website. You're on Instagram and then you see basically softcore, you know what I'm talking about, something attractive, and then you think, oh God, and then before you know it, you've swiped up, you've gone to Safari, you've opened a private browser, and you're away without even thinking about it. Your hand and your fingers are moving without conscious thought. And if I make a slightly off-base political joke, I would hope you laugh, right? You should laugh. If you don't, because if no one laughs at my jokes, then I will cry, right? Now I wrote this in the Google Doc thinking it'd be way funnier than it actually was. But now in hindsight, it definitely doesn't have the it doesn't have the power that I thought it would. So you on YouTube, if exposed to this video, thumbnail and title, then you click. Primary example of a marketing stimulus and a response is a YouTube thumbnail and a YouTube title combined. Because what happened is you were on YouTube minding your own business, and then you saw the stimulus of this exact title and this exact thumbnail, and you clicked on that without thinking about it. It was click, were. You see the stimulus, the response happens. And I know this sounds like weird, like just first principle basic psychology that might have no relationship to cold email, but when you start to look at it from the perspective of how to build marketing stimuli, it makes so much sense. Because you're here watching this video, spending 17 minutes of your time with me, or 18 minutes of your time with me, and you haven't even thought about it. And so as I go through this video towards the end, I'm going to suggest you visit my funnel, because there's a link in the description where you can buy my thing. And then what's going to happen is that's a stimulus. And then you might have the response of not even thinking about it and just going, oh, I'll just go and check it out. And then you land on the funnel, and then you see the stimulus, and then you scroll down and you start watching the video without thinking about it. This is not conscious stuff that's happening. Because the video is like, play this video. Okay, I'll play it, bang, response. You start watching the video, 5 minutes goes by, and you think, do you know what this is? Okay, I'll book a call. And then, you see the button to book a call, stimulus, click, book a call, response. And then you show up to the call. Now, when you show up to the call, things get a little bit more conscious because you're doing a sales call, but I have become very, very good at building marketing assets that convince people to do things that I want. A, because I understand the market, but B, because I understand that if my stimulus is relatively adapted to the market, then this click, were, conditioned response is so easy to elicit. So click, were, it's like a machine that executes on a task without thinking. And click, were responses are if this, then that statements, right? So if you're watching your son play football, if he scores, then you cheer. They are behavioral cause and effect. Because of this algorithm, there are specific stimuli that you can put in your cold email to elicit the response of booking. So one of the best stimuluses or stimuli that I found for cold email is using the words pay on results for business owners. Now that I've said this, there's going to be 10,000 people that watch this that now will use pay on results, so maybe it won't work anymore. But the point is this, it's when you find a little collection of words that drill down into someone's mind, it works. Another example of this is how political parties build their messages, right? So if you look at Trump's party with Make America Great Again, those 4 words, Make America Great Again, it's 4 words, yeah. Those 4 words deeply resonate with the American population, or at least more than half of them, which is why Trump won the election, right? And that's the thing, is it's like, when you can produce a sentence or an utterance that just strikes someone at their very core because of who they are and the problems they face, you can get people to vote for you to have ultimate power over the free world. So example, if I understand the core pain points of an agency owner, I can put them into my cold email and then get a click, were response. The reason that you need to understand this is simple. Humans don't really think when clearing out to, replying to, or dealing with their email inbox. Email is an unconscious activity. I'm going to say that again. Email is an unconscious activity. So you have to look at this from, what are your prospects doing? They're waking up in the morning, they're checking their emails, right? Unconsciously, they're checking their emails because no one really goes through their email inbox consciously. And what they're doing is they're using this click, were, response algorithm in their brain to sort through emails that they need to read and pay conscious attention and energy to, and find emails that they don't need to read, right? Because the human brain craves efficiency. We've adapted to conserve energy wherever possible. And so the reason this click, were, response exists, and the reason all this behavior is conditioned, is so that the brain doesn't have to burn very valuable calorific potential on actions. And this is why, and then, by the way, if you're wondering why the brain loves efficiency, it's because a more efficient brain requires less brain matter, which means a smaller brain, which means a smaller skull, which means childbirth is significantly easier, which means less women die in childbirth, which means more kids are able to be produced. And that's why this works, right? I won't go into it too much, but kind of a weird topic for you. But the brain loves efficiency. And so when you're writing your emails, the human brain that is reading this email is simply just scanning it And then I'm going to get into this in a bit more detail in a minute, but it's scanning it. And then if it looks like something they don't want to respond to, just at basic conditioned response, they just won't respond. Now, 90% of whether they respond, what they respond to, and everything they do in their inbox is conditioned. All conditioning. If you don't believe me, and if you want to see an example, just look at how you treat your email inbox. You go in there, as soon as you see sale in capital words, or free this, or buy this ebook, or whatever, you don't even read it. You just drag it into spam or delete it, or mark it as read. It's just like, if this, then that. If I see this word, I mark it as read. The human mind craves efficiency. Because of this, it has a tendency to box stimuli together to make them easier and to deal with, essentially. Now, what this means is that if at a first glance your email looks very similar as a general email stimulus to all the other emails, the prospect won't even read it, they'll just disregard it. So let me give you some examples. Here are some cold emails that I just picked out of my inbox that I've received in the last couple of days. This is the thing, these cold emails, these are not good cold emails, by the way, because I didn't respond to them. To be fair, whether I respond or not, I don't really respond to anything anymore, so maybe they would have got you. But my point here is like, my brain just basically scanned these emails and just deleted them, I just dragged them into spam. Just immediately, without even blinking or thinking about it. So the reason this happened is because I open this email, I see someone with this is the biggest red flag, is no profile picture. So if I see like no profile picture, I immediately know it's not like the government or a company asking me to pay a bill or something like that. So that's the first unconscious thing that my brain does, is no profile picture, probably gonna be like someone cold emailing. Not because I'm thinking about it, but because I have seen and read so many cold emails in my inbox that over time, my brain has just developed what we would basically call unconscious pattern recognition. This is the stimulus, the responses to delete. Then, in this email, I read the words, do you use cold email to get clients? A tool, automates. So what I'm doing is I'm scanning this through. I remember reading this because I did see no more setting up SPF, DMARC, DKIM, etc., etc. But the thing is this doesn't look interesting. This looks very similar to this, which looks very similar to this. It's just boring single lines of text, right? And they might be persuasive and they might be compelling, but you can sort of see there's no real difference. And all of the cold emails I get, or at least the bad ones, which is 95% of them, they all look the same. You've got to realize people open your email and they don't actually read it. They might read the first 1 or 2 lines and they scan it very briefly and then they just decide to delete it. It's not conscious. So my unconscious brain has seen this sort of stimulus hundreds of times, if not thousands, and I read the first 5 to 10, wasn't convinced, and started boxing them into the same category, useless, delete. If you want to know what is the solution to actually fixing this and using the click word response to get more clients and to get more appointments, because you can use it in your favor. Well, because of this, we need to introduce something called pattern interrupts. So pattern interrupts are simply things you can put in your email to break the pattern. When you do this, the prospect cannot unconsciously box the stimuli into the box they always use, and it forces them to think. So your first and most important job, if you've got a notepad and a pen, write this down. Well, really the first and most important job to a cold email is to understand your prospect. But the second and most important job to writing good cold emails is to force them to think. And what I mean by that is, someone enters their email inbox. They are in a specific state of mind, which is a state of efficiency, a state of unconscious conditioned behavior, and a state of the click word response. Your job with your cold email is to break this state and to take them and to send them something that is something so weird that they've never seen before, that it takes them out of the unconscious and into the conscious. This is the first job of a cold email. It's not to get a reply. It's not to get a booking. It's not even to get them to view a loom or anything. It's to get them to think. And not even think, it's just to get them to not think, if that makes sense. So I just wrote up some of these examples, right? These are literally ones that I just drafted in all of 10 seconds when making this. I don't know if these work or not because I haven't tested them, but look at this one. I just literally Googled meme and then some very, 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 very cursed Ohio meme came up. But I thought, just for the sake of this example, this might not be professional. Maybe don't send it, but you get the point. Imagine receiving this cold email. Can't even have hotels in Ohio. Useless with Gmail, think I attached something by mistake. You taking on new clients at the moment? CM. No, you've never received a cold email like that before. So it's not even, it might not be that persuasive or compelling, but it forces you to think, because you can't box this into these neat, tidy boxes that your unconscious brain wants to. And so it's individual, it's unique. And so now you're thinking about it, and now you're looking at the thing of, are you taking on new clients at the moment? And you think, oh yeah, I suppose I am, I'll just reply. If you look at these cold emails here, a lot of the time they are selling things that you might need, or selling things that you could use, or you have pain points that they can solve for you. But because you've seen it over and over and over again, it's called banner blindness in advertising, essentially, right? Or this one. Subject line, important. And then a bunch of like weird like keyboard spam. Apologies, my cat walked on the keyboard. Want new clients? I want to get you clients open to learning more. Your friend C. It's just different. You're going to read and be like, oh, I want new clients? Oh yeah, okay, fine. I'll have a look. This is how it works, is you have to learn to interrupt the pattern. You have to learn to break the conditioning and bring people away from the unconscious to-do list efficiency style behavior that they deal with their inbox and into this more conscious, like I'm actually going to read this thing and ponder on it for a second before I respond. Now let's get into some more sort of quick fire, shorter pieces of information you can use to get clients, because these are the two really big ones, right? Now these, you're probably about halfway there, to be honest. The next ones are really important as well. How you doing? Are you still with me? If you are, thumbs up to you, gold medal, gold star. Isn't it kind of crazy how these days that we have to congratulate people and reward them for just spending half an hour doing something that will change their life and their business? Remember, you can always go and work for Uber if you don't want to focus. Right, so productivity principle. So I kind of touched on this in the last idea, click where response. You have to understand business owners and normal people treat their inboxes as to-do lists. This is a very important thing, a very important lesson in cold email. They treat their inboxes as to-do lists. If the email can't be done, and what that means is it doesn't have a simple, definitive call to action, they will simply discard it. This is because when people are doing their email, they don't want to think. Remember what I said about the human brain loving efficiency. The most effective cold emails are ones that break patterns and achieve a behavior instantly. Look at these ones, for example. You can read that in less than 2 seconds, understand what it means and what it's trying to tell you in less than 2 seconds, and get it done in less than 2 seconds, okay? Very important. And someone's going through their email, all they are doing is separating order from chaos. Order are emails they want to see and need to see and reply to. These are emails from the government. These are emails from a business partner. These are emails from a vendor. These are emails from a salesperson they're buying something from. These are emails from a prospect that wants to buy from them. These are emails that they actively are searching for. Chaos are the promotions, the cold emails, the BS, the spam, the stuff they don't need. And so what they're doing when they get into their inbox is they're looking at an email, because they're gonna see your email. Their brain's either gonna go order or chaos. And if it looks like chaos, right? And what I mean, if it looks like a cold email, it will be treated accordingly. And it will be sent to the spam, it will be deleted, it will be marked as read, it will be archived. But if it looks like something that they actually think, well, hang on a minute, who the hell was that? This just says important and then like some weird keyboard smash, and then there's an attachment of a meme. What the hell is this? I'll put it in there just in case. And then they'll go and read it. Because here's the thing, that it's the just in case principle, right? If your email can't be read and acted on within at least 8.25 seconds, they ain't gonna do anything. The exception to this is if you're using a Loom video. But if they can't access the Loom video within 8.25 seconds, you're done for. Now, 8.25 seconds is supposedly I say supposedly because I haven't actually critically thought this through and read into the evidence, but this is supposedly the average attention span for a human being. And so if your email is super long and you're writing stories, if someone can't do it quickly, they're not gonna do it at all. The exception is a Loom video, right? So for example, I used to send, we still actually do, like 2-minute Loom videos to people. But that's fine because the cold email, they get to the Loom video within a couple of seconds and then they're out. So when you're writing your cold emails and they're all lengthy, and it just doesn't work. Keep sentences short, use simple words, and stay focused on what matters, right? Look at these ones. Like look at these ones, for example. Now I can read this and get it done pretty quickly. But the thing is it's like, a lot of it's just fluff. Would I like to see a 4-minute personalized video explaining further? Just send the video. I don't want to have to do more stuff. Just send it, right? That's what we have to start optimizing for. So now let's move on to something called feature circumvention. So feature circumvention basically revolves around focusing on the outcome, okay? When drafting your cold email, do not discuss the features of your products. Discuss the benefits. If you sell Facebook ads, talk about clients and appointments. Do not talk about Facebook ads. As soon as you mention features, you're completely doomed. Now, there's an element to this where you can mention the features, but only if someone actually asks. So Apple does this really well. So let me show you Apple's website. And this is a perfect example of just not using feature marketing. However, if someone's going to buy a device, an Apple product, they need to understand the features, but to get their interest, which is what we're doing through cold email, to get their interest, which in this case would be, for us in the high ticket space, it's to get them to book a call. But for Apple, it's just simply to get them to look at the product and stuff like that. So look at Apple. So this is the MacBook Pro. Mind-blowing, head-turning. There's no feature, right? They're not trying to like say anything. Although once you click buy and you denote intention to actually purchase, then they will tell you. But the job of the first stimulus is just to gain interest and to start building curiosity and to elicit that click well response to condition someone to actually buy. iMac, packed with more juice. iPhone 5 Pro, titanium, so strong, so light, so pro. There's no feature. You could argue that the titanium part is a feature here, but it's so abstract. People are like, what the hell? You know, iPhone 5, new camera, new design, euphoria. Wonder awaits. Apple Watch, smarter, brighter, mightier. So, you know, if we click buy, then they'll take us through to the features. Because now we're like curious. So we're going to see like, you know, GPS and this, that, and the other. What size do I want? Because you need to configure it. But the point here with cold email is you want to stay focused solely on the outcome. I was talking to someone yesterday who has a coaching business and they sell hypnotherapy to program your unconscious to make you perform better. Quite interesting. And they were like, I can't get clients. And I was like, okay, let me read your cold email. And they showed me the cold email. And the cold email was all about hypnosis. It was all about the technique and the subconscious, you know, they were selling the features. But what I said to him was I said that people don't have any pain associated with their unconscious. It might be the root of the problem, but the pain is manifesting in their business. And so you need to say that you can help them solve a specific problem that they're currently facing and then use hypnosis as the vehicle to solve that problem. They don't need to know how you do it. They just need to know that you can, at least until the point of sale. And so that's an important lesson. So the next thing is called ego equals Waterloo. For those of you that are unfamiliar with history, Waterloo is basically like a synonym for disaster because it's what finished Napoleon off in the 1800s, but story for another day. Do not talk about yourself or your company. Seriously, don't. Remember what I said earlier about relative adaptation and how you need to talk about what your prospect wants to hear, not what you want to write? The biggest, the most common mistake among a lot of these things that I'm talking about is talking about yourself. You know, talking about yourself and your company, like I've won all these awards and I've been in business for this many times and I've got this many clients, and we think that this is building trust with the prospect, but really it doesn't. It would be like going on a first date with a man or a woman and just spending the first 20 minutes just talking about yourself and everything that's so good about you. They're going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? They do not care. They care what you can do for them. They don't care about your awards. They don't care about your team size. They don't care about your location, your offices, or anything. They just don't care. You might, they don't. The only exception is if it's highly relevant. For example, in the early days of Imperium, when we were selling to agency owners, when we still are, we included this in our cold email. We actually scaled our own agency to 7 figures, signing over 350 clients and now helping others do the same. So we talked about ourselves very briefly here because we were able to establish authority saying we've already done what you want to do, so you can trust us. You know, I see this in cold emails. You get these cold emails from like, you know, we are a full stack digital marketing agency with this. They're not buying you. They're buying the outcome. Very important lesson. They're not buying you, so don't try and sell yourself. You're not a prostitute, so don't behave like one. Don't try and sell yourself or your agency on how great you are. Just, they'll know how great you are if you have a good offer, good risk reversal, good tangibility, and a good incentive for them to buy. That's how they will make the decision. Now, if you're on a sales call and they ask you like, how long have you been in business? You can say like, just about 15 years. Then they'll be like, okay, damn, these people, they must know what they're doing, right? But in cold email, they don't care. It doesn't work, okay? So don't bother. Trust me, I can tell you this because I've literally sent hundreds of thousands of cold emails trying this myself, and I haven't seen it work. So number 6 is buzzword omission. So this one here feeds into the click word response because the single greatest weapon the unconscious mind has for dealing with cold emails is buzzwords. And so, you know, I was talking earlier about how it wants to separate cold emails, like the mind wants to separate cold emails or emails in general into order or chaos. The best tool it has for doing that is buzzwords. And so the brain is very, very intelligent and very good at recognizing patterns. And so if it keeps seeing the same word or the same few words over and over again, that's how it's going to box your stimulus or your cold email into the box of all the other cold emails. People do not read emails. Another important lesson. Think about how you deal with your emails. If you get an email from someone you don't know, do you actually take the time to sit down and consciously spend a minute processing the information, or do you just scan it? You scan it. You scan emails, so you need to write them accordingly. When you're writing your cold emails, understand that the majority of what you write is not actually going to be processed and read consciously. It's going to be scanned. When scanning, the human brain is looking for buzzwords that will indicate the email is deletable. This is a component of the click-where response. Examples of some buzzwords to avoid: guarantee, Facebook ads, marketing agency, website, connect, SEO, blog, tools, revenue, free, audit, 30 days, industry. Dude, if I ever get a cold message from someone saying great to connect, I immediately delete it because I know exactly what their intentions are. No normal human without a sales intent connects with someone on social media and sends them a message saying great to connect. No one does that. And so you can probably recognize the same pattern in your mind. If you receive a cold email from someone and in there is the word blog, you're probably going to delete it. Or if you receive a cold email and it says free, you're probably also going to delete it, right? So you need to understand that these buzzwords are the death of your cold email. The second, I can tell you, if, for example, if you're in the gym niche, the second you include Facebook ads is the second that your cold email gets deleted. As soon as they read it, and you might be wondering, well, why? Because these gym owners have received cold emails saying Facebook ads, clicked on them, booked a call, bought from that agency, received a horrific experience, and now we have something in psychology called classical conditioning, which is where the organism now associates, or the human in this case, because we've never been. Well, you can achieve classical conditioning through animals like dogs and stuff, but Pavlov's dog experiment, we won't get into it. It's quite a dark place. But the human beings, right? If a bad experience has happened, they are now going to associate the word Facebook ads in a cold email with all the pain and suffering that came as a result of hiring a bad marketing agency. And so as soon as you say Facebook ads, their unconscious brain looks at Facebook ads and immediately remembers the pain of dealing with an agency that said Facebook ads, and now they're not going to respond. It's like click where, like, oh, that pain goes there, you know? And that's how the human brain works, is it's looking for things and learning. That's really what learning is if you think about it. Think about what feedback is it's just finding stimuli that elicit pain and just avoiding them. The human brain is a pattern recognition machine. If your email has buzzwords with all the other emails, all the other cold emails have, they will be scanned and your email will be categorized by the algorithm in the brain as delete or spam or mark as read. If you want to get to grips with what you really need to avoid, register a fake email in your niche and make it accessible to cold emailers. Read them all and start to observe the patterns. So if I was going into a niche and I wanted to win in the niche and I wanted to use cold email to do that, the first thing I would do, pretend to be like someone inside of the niche. Like if you're working with med spas, create like a really bad med spa website and then reach out to basically like a load of people and say, hey, this is my email. Can you like send me like a cold email to see if you can convince me to book a call? And then you start registering it for like, email newsletters and stuff. And then you get it into like databases. And then what will happen is you'll just start to receive cold email after cold email after cold email. And you can go through them and you can just read. You can just start noticing these buzzwords. And then you know exactly what to avoid. And usually a winning cold email is less about writing the right thing and more about not writing the wrong thing. We can achieve results and we can achieve replies through obliquity, which basically means achieving the result we want through its opposite. So instead of calling this video, how to write cold emails that get clients, I should have probably called it how to not write cold emails that don't get clients. So number 7 is a friend. People respond to friends. So the easiest way to get a response is to make your email look as if it has been sent from a friend. Would you, if messaging a friend, use a complex footer? No. Would you, if messaging a friend, say kind regards? No. Would you, if messaging a friend, try to be super professional? No. Would you, if messaging a friend, aim to have 110% perfect grammar? No. Would you, if messaging a friend, write like you have a rod stuck up your ass? So when you read cold emails and it's the person's taking it so seriously and they sound so serious. Like, you have to understand that you're writing emails to human beings. Just because they have a business doesn't mean you should treat them like some sort of weird robot. I received some of these cold emails and I'm like, this has not been written with a human in mind. It's just weird. It's like, what on earth is this? Like, why are you writing? Like, you're dealing with a human being who like laughs, goes to the toilet, is sometimes sad, sometimes is happy, has political opinions, is very flawed, has strengths. You're writing to a human. And so make your emails seem human. Don't say, dearest Mr. Johnson, upon inspection of your business, I am delighted to inform you. What the hell is that? No one responds to that stuff. Unless Mr. Johnson has some very autistic friends, you're not going to get Mr. Johnson to respond. Now, warning, You don't want to take this to the extreme of treating people like your friends, but it pays to remind and remember that you're contacting a human being, you're not contacting your boss. So relax. All right, take a step back with the tone, chill it out. I'm not saying that you need to treat, for example, if you're in the lawyer niche and you send someone a Gen Z meme, you're probably not going to get a response because they're just going to think that you've got like some sort of deficiency. But my point here is you got to just look friendly, man. You got to just like look at emails that your friends send you and messages that your friends send you, and then just like try and take some inspiration from that because those are ones that you respond to, okay? Now we've got some interesting equations here, okay? So these seem like weird, complicated chemistry equations, but I just like making things sound complicated because I think it sounds cool, which is definitely not a problem in my brain. But HU plus CR equals A. And this basically means that humor plus creativity equals appointments. What you want to do with your cold emails is instill a bloody sense of humor. You want to be not hilariously funny, because I can't even do that, and it's quite sad. But you don't want to like, actually crack like stupid jokes and stuff like that. But you just want to make them laugh, man, or at least smile. I got a cold message the other day that was brilliant. It said, "Hey Charlie, I want to get you 10 clients this month. And I want to send you more information on it. Would you want to kill me and my whole family if I sent it?" And I was like, yeah, that's clever. That's smart. Because it just broke the pattern a little bit and it made me smile. I was like, huh. And then I'm thinking, because I'm no longer in this like to-do list mode, right? So humor is a fantastic way to break the pattern and to pattern interrupt this click work conditioned response. And the creativity thing is another way to do it. Just demonstrate at least some level of creativity, for God's sake. Stop trying to copy and paste what everybody else is doing and get creative. Use your mind, use your inspiration. Not too much to the point where the cold email is ineligible and just like weird. You'll get appointments. You will. It's possible. Humor and creativity. Now we've got another one. TA plus RR equals A. Tangibility plus risk reversal equals appointments. So when you're explaining the outcome you can help someone achieve, when making an offer, you want to make the outcome tangible. So if you're promising clients, it needs to be tangible. There needs to be an amount. There needs to be a certain number of this outcome that they can see, that they can feel, that they can imagine, that they can smell, touch, taste, hear, and experience. They need to be able to visualize it. Then, once you've made it tangible, reverse the risk. To reply, they need to feel reassured you're not going to ruin their life. So when it comes to focusing on the outcome, and we'll talk more about this in a second and how to do it, tangibility and risk reversal. I can get you this and specifically this amount of it in specifically this amount of time. And if I don't do it, here's the risk reversal, right? And these two components are so important. And the last one is IN plus CU equals A. Incentive plus curiosity equals appointments. Give them an incentive to reply. Say you can give them what they want and what they need. Align your outcome with what they actually want. And then the CU thing, the curiosity thing, is so important. Don't tell them everything. Leave them guessing. Be vague. Invite questions and create mystery. There's two types of curiosity in psychology: diversive curiosity and epistemic curiosity. Diversive curiosity is the type of curiosity that just keeps you scrolling through a social media feed. It's just very quick, short-term, just unconscious curiosity. Epistemic curiosity is curiosity that keeps you engaged on something over a long period of time. And so how do we build curiosity? Well, we leave things out intentionally. So for example, if you get a cold email reply from someone saying, well, okay, this seems kind of cool. Can you tell me how it works? Don't reply and don't tell them, because you've now got them by the hook. Their curiosity is now leveraged. So what you do, instead of replying and saying it works like this, you say, that is a fantastic question, and I'm looking forward to satiating your curiosity. For me to properly do it justice and explain, I'd love to hop on a call with you. Here's a link. I hope it's okay for me to send that. Have a wonderful day, and I'll explain it all there. Now they have to book a call to get an answer. And so the epistemic curiosity works like a loop in the human mind. And human beings have to close loops. If we don't close loops, we go insane. And this is why people get always frustrated with these questions like, what's the meaning of life? Are there aliens? Was there the Big Bang? There's why these questions are always asked, because what we're trying to do is close these curiosity loops. By replying to someone how it works, you might think that you're taking them one step closer to becoming a client, but what you're actually doing is destroying the very thing, which is the curiosity, that would actually lead them to make a decision to book a call from you. Now, there comes a point eventually on the sales call where you have to reveal everything and they won't be curious anymore. But to get them to book a call, curiosity is one of the single greatest weapons you have. And so incentive gets the reply, curiosity gets the appointment. And so if someone says, like, walk me through like what sort of funnel you use, don't give it to them. Just say, hey, we'll do that on the call. Here's a link. They have to book a call because now the loop is open. And then if they don't book a call, then your follow-up message becomes about showing them the funnel. Like, hey, John, want to show you the funnel this week? Have you got time? Hey, John, I know you're still curious to see this funnel. You just keep prodding them. I know you're curious. I know you want to see it. Let's close the loop. That's how you get appointments. Addition from subtraction. Less is more. Use less. I know it's ironic for me to say using less words when I've made like a nearly 1 hour long video on just a few points, but when it comes to teaching, you have to offer different paradigms for it to click. So I'm going to give myself the pass here, but less is more. Use less words where possible. Say as little as you can. Try to remove as much as possible without making the email completely bare. Humans don't tackle paragraphs when reading or scanning cold emails, so don't write them. Humans don't read stories when reading or scanning cold emails, so don't write them. And humans optimize for efficiency when in to-do mode, so write your emails accordingly. The less words you use, the more power those words have. So if you use a few words, but the right ones, they have more power. Imagine if Donald Trump's message for, instead of Make America Great Again, imagine if it was turning America back into the powerhouse that it was a long time ago and doing that in a way that makes everyone happy and feels really good about it. Doesn't have the same effect as Make America Great Again. When it comes to trying to convince people through written text, the less words you use, the more those words mean. Okay? Less is more. Less is more. Less is more. If you want to make a point, make it in the fewest words possible, and you're done. Ironic for me to say that. I hope you get the point. Less is more. So when you're looking at your cold email, if someone sends me a cold email to audit, like a client, the very first thing I do before anything is ask myself what I can remove. Because usually what's happened is they've just brain dumped and just written this huge cold email, like paragraphs of text and like all these sentences and stuff. And most of it is just complete waste. Like most of it just doesn't matter. They're either talking about themselves or just some weird story or like a case study or some problems, something that no one really cares about. All they care about is like the pain, the problem, the desire, the current state, and then demonstrating that you understand them, right? The footer paradox. So this is actually the footer that I used to use, or I think we still actually use for our cold emails. With this footer for Imperium, I think we probably booked like 6,000 appointments, 7,000 appointments. So with your footer, do not include your website. Do not include your LinkedIn. Do not include your Facebook page. Do not include your Instagram. Do not include your Twitter. Do not include anything. Do not include your awards. Do not include your blog. Do not include your free ebook. Do not include your logo that's clickable for them to go through. Do not include your Trustpilot. Do not include anything. A complex footer is someone simply documenting their stupidity. Simple, clean, and undistracted. More importantly, slightly different to everyone else. The reason we don't want to include any of these things is because we don't want anyone to go anywhere but to your calendar event or your Loom video. Let's say you do this. Let's say your footer includes your website, your LinkedIn, your Twitter account, your YouTube channel, your podcast, your free ebook, your logo with a website link as well. And so let's just say there's those 7 things. Your prospect now has 7 other actions that they could potentially take. And you don't want someone to connect with you on LinkedIn. You don't want someone to follow on Instagram. You don't want YouTube subscribers. You don't want website traffic. You don't want anything. You just want appointments. So focus on getting appointments. And then the argument people use is like, oh, but I want people to see that I'm legitimate and real. They will. They'll check out the email. They'll treat it with skepticism anyway. And then they'll reply. And then they'll book a call. And then they'll suss it out. But the more stuff you have in your footer, the worse it works. The way my footer worked was just like this. Charlie Morgan, co-owner, NorthFlow Consulting. There's the email, phone number, and then an address in London, right? This is enough for someone to feel it's professional because it says you've got this authority, you've got a proper company, proper domain. They're even giving me a phone number, and then this. And then sometimes people would call me up and be like, hey, I got a cold email. And then I'd be like, amazing. What time are you free next week? They're like, can you tell me now? I'm like, no, I'll just do it next week. And this is because of the principle 13 called single path. Your email should be focused on one goal, which is to get an appointment. So focus on that. Ask to do them nothing but book a call. Your prospect needs to be given a single path. It's difficult enough to get someone to do something, let alone multiple things. No Facebook group, no newsletter registration, no ebook, no audit, no website link, no let me send you a Loom video. If you're going to send them a video, just send the video. And then in the video, ask for the call to action. You don't want them to make any decisions except for them to do the one thing that you want them to do, which is book a call. Nothing, just the call. Maybe a Loom, this is the only exception I found. Not look at the PDF in the thing, not go and join my Facebook group. I made this podcast episode for you, blah, blah, blah. Just appointment. And if it's not appointment, the earlier stage to an appointment, which is a reply. Tell me if you're interested. A huge mistake people make is making these long, complicated cold emails, just adding all these call to actions and all this stuff. There is a reason as to why with this YouTube video, I have one link in the description. There is a reason as to why I don't include the Google Doc link for this Google Doc in the description. It's because if someone is a good fit for me, a good prospect, if in the description I have my funnel link and then the Google Doc link below it, they've now got two places to go. I just want you to go in one direction, which is to book a call. So I don't have, you'll notice if you look at all my YouTube videos, I don't have my Instagram in there. I don't have our Facebook group in there. We used to, but not anymore. I don't have anything in there except for the one thing that I want. And that's why we book so many appointments through everything, through YouTube as well, is because you can only go to one place after watching this video. Now, obviously you can go anywhere else on the internet, but when it comes to dealing with my stuff, and if you want to explore my stuff more, there's just one place you can go. So the next thing is open to. So the best way to sort of round off a call to action is with the words open to. So when making your call to action, just ask if they're open to the idea of the action instead of actually straight up demanding it. So for example, instead of saying, would you be interested in booking a call this week to discuss? Because I can tell you now that the word interested is a buzzword. How many cold emails have you received and scanned and seen the word interested and thought, they're just trying to sell me something, I'll move on, right? So instead of using that, we would use, would you be open to the idea of booking a call this week to discuss? Because the great thing about asking if they'd be open to it is they're not actually agreeing to it, but they are, if that makes sense. So if I said to you, would you be open, or would you be completely against the idea, or would you be open to like the idea of checking out the funnel, as opposed to check out the funnel? What's easier to agree to? Well, yeah, of course I'd be open to it. And just by saying you're open to it actually means that you're going to do it. So when you're rounding off your email, instead of saying like, are you interested in this? Just be like, would you be open to exploring this in a little bit more detail, maybe perhaps? You know, and then they're like, yeah, sure. They can't like, there's no binary difference between these two call to actions. It just softens it just softens the blow and it makes the decision easier to make. It's easier to agree to the idea of something than to the actual thing or the idea itself. So it's just a tip for you. So aftercare. This is where it gets exciting. Understand that 80% of your meetings from cold email come in what I call the aftercare, which is basically the follow-up. Okay? Follow up on every prospect at least 5 to 6 times. Most of your replies will come on follow-up 4, 5, and 6. This might sound like overkill, but do it. Every 2 days, send a simple, what I call bump follow-up. A bump follow-up is just, hey, did you see my email? Hey, I'm just bumping this to your inbox. Hey, just a reminder, there's this email here for you. Hey, I don't know if you saw the email, but it's here. Bump follow-ups do not include anything fancy or weird. No like links, nothing else. It's just, hey, I don't suppose you got the chance to read it yet. What do you think of the email I sent over? Hope you're well. Wanted you to just like check out this email when you get the chance. Have you had the chance to check it out? Just simple bumps. And you want to do this 6 times really for each prospect. Because I can tell you now that the majority of your responses will come on follow-up 4, 5, and 6. This is where we get 80% of our meetings. Most people follow up once and then they leave. And so if we understand really from this video, the main thing you should be understanding is that really the easiest way to get appointments is to be different. How do you be different? Well, you just follow up like 5 times more than the average person. And trust me, it works. The reason, by the way, a lot of people don't do the follow-up 6 times is because like they project how they would feel onto the market. Because you might think, oh, I don't want to be too annoying or persistent. But like if I have to be annoying to get appointments, I'll be annoying. I don't care what I have to do to get my goal. As long as I'm not compromising my core moral stature, I'll do anything. And the last one is Pareto's outcome focused. 80% of your email copy needs to be focused on the outcome you can help your prospect achieve, or in reinforcing the fact you can achieve the outcome. So when you're writing your cold email, 80% of it should be about what you can do for them and the outcome you can help them achieve and the future state you can help them achieve by solving their problem, or it should be you stating with conviction why you can achieve the outcome. So it's like, hey, John, I can get you this in this time on a pair and results basis, and then you're just talking about why they should believe you. Outcome, future state, desires, needs, wants. This is the main thing. If you've added something to your email that doesn't explain the outcome or add conviction as to why you can achieve it, you're probably adding the wrong thing. Okay, this is so important. You have to keep these cold emails focused relentlessly on the outcome. And so that's it. These are the 16 principles. Now there will be a link, you can see the card now in the top right-hand corner for you to actually have this document and go and do it. If you've made it to the end of this video, congratulations. You're actually probably going to be successful in life. So welcome to the club of success. High five. If you want help getting more clients, and if you need, this is scratching the surface of the cold email thing. I've got an entire 10-hour module. No, actually it's more like 20 hours on this. Stuff goes a lot deeper than this. This is just skimming the surface. But if you want to check out what we do, if you want to buy from me and all that shenanigans, there's a link in the description. I don't care if you click it or not, but it might help you. Maybe you hate me. I don't care, really, honestly. As long as you use this video to grow your business and feel some value, and that's all that matters to me. But if you want to buy from me, I wouldn't say no, right? But that's everything. I hope you enjoyed how to write cold emails to get clients, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.